Hey friends, Mr. Spitzer here, and today we are actually going to be skipping ahead to lesson 10 in your writing workshop notebook. You see here I am in my Google Documents right now under my fake student account. The last one that we completed on Tuesday was lesson 7, if you remember. We were working on elaboration and adding details to our writing. I was able to talk to a lot of you, and you are doing really nice work of going back and choosing simple sentences from your story and adding some sensory details to make your reader be able to visualize exactly what is happening in your story. So while you finish lesson 7, we are actually going to skip lesson 8 and 9. So you can see I'm currently scrolling down. And we are going to work on lesson 10 today. So make sure you fill out your name, the date, and your section at the top. And our Do Now question says, why is editing important before publishing a final piece? So you all have worked really hard over the last 2.5 weeks to write a flash draft for your story. You thought about the characters in your story, the setting, possible conflicts, as well as a message or the meaning of your story. So you've thought about all of these things, and then you took a whole day to flash draft or write quickly about your story. And now we're working on revising and editing. So in this question, you're addressing why is editing important before you publish this final piece. In lesson 10, there's a mini video that you can watch. It's short. If you click on the link in blue, it will pop up a YouTube video about revising and editing that you can watch. And then our teaching point says that when fantasy writers are editing, they pay special attention to sentence structure, grammar, and punctuation. So our organizer for today looks scary. It looks complicated, but it's actually a fun activity to do, and it's a way for you to look more deeply into your writing and the structure of your writing. So what I recommend people do is, if they have their digital notebook open, if you double click up top here on the tab, you can duplicate the tab. So if you duplicate it, you would have 2 tabs open of the same document. So you would have 2 of your writer's notebooks open. A lot of you are already great at this, and you can actually split screens. So I have both of my same documents open. What I'm going to do on this side, on the left side, is I'm going to have the graphic organizers that you will be completing today. On the right side, I'm actually scrolled all the way back up into the flash draft of my story. So I am going all the way to in between lesson 6 and 7, and I have my story here. I'm going to line it up, so I'm scrolling down, and then I'm going to do the work. So the directions say, use the proofreading patch below to analyze the technical accuracy of your work. Sounds complicated. There is an example here. If you click on this link, it provides a slideshow with audio to help you from one of our 6th grade teachers. And then we're actually going to break down our writing and fill out this graphic organizer. So the first column here, you do not have to fill out anything. It's the sentence number in your story. Under the second column, you're going to write the first word in the sentence. So I'm looking over here at my fantasy story of my flash draft, and the first sentence, the first word in my first sentence right here is the word it. So I type the word it right here. The second column says write the number of words in a sentence. So I'm going to count each of these individual words, and there's 10 words in my first sentence. So I wrote the number 10 here. The next column says to write down any adjectives and strong verbs used in the sentence. Remember, adjectives are describing words and verbs are actions. There's links to both of those things to remind you, as well as videos to help you, and you're going to write down some of those words that you use. You might need to change the font size up here. That is okay. The next column talks about what proper nouns you used. in each sentence. Remember, a proper noun is a specific name of a person, place, or thing. That includes movie titles, book titles, names of specific clothing brands or brand names in general, specific places, lakes, oceans, days of the week, months of the year. So include all of your proper nouns here. You can either write yes or write the specific proper nouns that you used. And the last column addresses sensory language. That is words that you use that relate to the senses. What you see, what you taste, what you hear, what you can feel or touch, and also movement. So instead of writing all of the sensory details that you're hopefully using, you are just going to write either yes, you included sensory details, or no, you didn't. It's okay if you don't have them. This is a way for you to check during the editing process. You can see that I filled out these columns so far for the first words of each sentence, the number of words of each sentence, and now I'm actually going back and filling out the strong adjectives or verbs that I used. You can see how it's really helpful to have your flash draft right next to your graphic organizer as you work, because I'm just going to keep referencing my original writing. So right here, I am on sentence number 6. The first word in the sentence is another. You can see I found that right here. And I'm writing down any describing words or strong verbs. Another day in paradise, I thought to myself as I gazed out the window overlooking the small industrial town. A strong verb used in this sentence, a strong action word, would be gazing, or I wrote gazed. It means to look. Industrial is another describing word, describing the town. In the next column here for proper nouns, there was no proper nouns used because I didn't name the name of the town. I wasn't talking about a day of a week or naming any people or places or things. So there are no proper nouns used in this sentence. Sensory details. I'm looking out, overlooking a small industrial town. I use some details about what I can see, so I'm going to say yes. I was describing what was outside of my window. After filling out that row, you could just move on to your next sentence. My next sentence, number 7, starts with my. My mind began to wander, wishing I was somewhere else, somewhere special. First word is my. There are 12 words in that sentence that I filled out. Some strong adjectives or verbs. The word wander, wishing, any proper nouns used? Not in that sentence, no. Sensory details used? In this sentence, no. And then the last sentence that I'm going to show you for this graphic organizer, it starts with why. Why couldn't I be overlooking ice-capped mountains in Colorado or beautifully decorated villas of Madrid? So I'm looking for adjectives and verbs, overlooking, ice-capped, beautifully decorated. My next column says proper nouns that were used. I see the specific place, Colorado. And I also see Madrid. And the last says sensory details. I did use sensory details in that sentence, so I'm going to type yes. Once you fill this out, you can see at the bottom, it's like a little checklist for yourself. Do the 8 sentences start with too many pronouns, or are a variety of nouns and adjectives used? So you can see that my sentences do not start with any of the same words. We want to vary the start of our sentences, so I can check that off the list as yes, I did a good job. Are the number of words in each sentence similar, bad, or varied, good? You can see I have a lot of 10-word sentences, but they do vary. I have 15-word sentence, 12-word sentence, 16-word sentence. If you find yourself writing in very simple sentences, so 5 and 6 word sentences constantly, you want to try to include more complex sentences. Varying your sentences, having some long sentences and some short sentences, will help your writing sound more sophisticated. The next check says, are you using the linking verbs was or strong verbs? Are there at least 5 adjectives used in the first 8 lines? Make sure that you're using strong descriptive words. And that's what hopefully you changed in your elaboration lesson. The next column says, are there at least 2 or 3 proper nouns used in your first 8 lines? Proper nouns help to add details to your story. So I see here that Harrison was included, New Jersey was included, Colorado and Madrid, those are 4. So yes, I've used at least 2 or 3 proper nouns in those first couple of sentences. You will probably have proper nouns of the names of your characters or places. And the last column says at least 2 to 3 lines should have some form of sensory detail. Appeal to your senses. What can you see? What can you taste? What can you hear? What could you touch? And the last part, again, this is such an important part because you're using what you completed in your graphic organizer to help change your work and edit your work to improve it. It says copy and paste a paragraph from your fantasy piece where you used strong verbs or sensory details. If you did not, write a paragraph now. So I look in my first 8 sentences, and in 7 of my 8 sentences, I used really sophisticated adjectives, verbs, and sensory details. So I don't need to write a new paragraph. All I'm going to do, it says to copy a paragraph from your flash draft. I'm going to copy this first one here. I'm going to paste it right in my document. And I am done with the lesson today. If you need help doing this, it's going to take some time, but it is a very useful strategy in order to help analyze your writing style, the structure, the grammar, and the punctuation found within your writing. If you have any questions, make sure you join my office hours. Tomorrow is Chancellor's Day, so technically I will not have office hours, but I will be helping out people over email, and I can set up a Google Meet if you need me to. Good luck with this. I hope you find this useful, and I look forward to hearing from you all soon.